What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. Before anyone sprints down to the comments section to attack me for the title of this video, I do want to acknowledge that yes, it is impossible to keep all of your personal training clients. I did clickbait a little bit here. My bad. Even the best trainer in the world will lose clients here and there. People get fired, move away, need surgery, whatever. A million things can happen and you don't have control over everything. If you really know what you're doing, it's possible to retain almost every single client though, and if you want to be successful as a trainer, keeping almost every client is essential. Client retention is the thing that matters the absolute most. More on that soon. Anyways, here are my studio stats for 2024. In any given year, we retain about 92 to 96% of all of our clients. As you can see in 2024, we're much closer to the 96%. I'm not showing this to brag, but to highlight what's possible. We barely ever lose clients, and that's because we do a few key things very well, which of course I will be sharing that with all of you today. Before I start breaking down the best strategies to keep your personal training clients, all I ask is that you consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much guys. Without your help, none of this would be possible. So this client retention video is my first one to kick off 2025 because like I mentioned in my last video on getting clients, retaining or keeping clients really does end up being the thing that will make or break you. I don't care how good you are at marketing, some months you'll get many leads and other months very few. So you need to fight every single day to keep the clients that you do have. So before I start sharing my client retention strategies, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think matters the most when it comes to retaining or keeping clients? Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. I want to know what you guys think. So my first strategy, I have 5 by the way, on keeping clients is really making it all about them and their goals. This one seems obvious, but so many trainers screw this part up for various different reasons. Often I see trainers build programs around what they think the client's goals should be instead of what they actually are. Not good. Don't do that. Anyways, the first thing you want to do to make it all about their goals is to have an initial consultation process that really hammers down exactly what the client wants to achieve. Asking some big goal-related questions helps you to sign that prospect down in the first place, but if you play your cards right, having a very good idea of what your client wants to do, well, that will also help you to retain the client over time. In my initial consultation, I ask, what are your 3-month goals, or basically, what are your short-term goals? And I also ask, what are your 1-year or long-term goals? And when I ask my client each of these questions one at a time, I really take my time listening and trying to understand their responses. I can also be a little bit pushy in this part of the consult if needed because I know that it will pay off later. So if I ask a client, what are you hoping to achieve specifically in the next 3 months? Or what are your short-term goals? And they say something like, I don't know, I want to lose some weight, I guess. Well, in that case, I know it's time to bust out the detective hat and get to work. I'll follow that up with, do you know roughly how much weight you want to lose? Or do you prefer to go more so based on how you feel and how clothes fit? They'll give me an answer to that and I'll say, awesome, sounds good. For every step of the initial consultation, I'm asking a bunch of questions, getting my prospect to talk as much as possible, to elaborate on every detail as much as they're willing, and I'm doing that for both of these 2 reasons. I've said it already, but expect a new consultation video in a month or 2. It's long overdue at this point. Once you've signed on your prospect in that initial consult, and if you make it all about their goals, you will probably sign them on. Every few weeks, I want you to bring up their goals to see if they've changed. Really, you should be chatting about their goals pretty much every time you see them, but every few weeks, we'll say 2 to 4, depending on the client, you should be having a more serious conversation about their goals, how they're feeling about their progress so far, what they're struggling with the most, and of course, how you can help. So don't wait until their package is almost done. Keep those goal conversations ongoing for as long as you work with any client. My next strategy also seems obvious, but the devil is in the details. Anyways, to retain your clients long term, things have to progress over time. I know, duh, but this is a simple thing to say, not always an easy thing to do. So if a client signs on to work with you, pretty much no matter what, they should expect to see improvements in these categories. Which categories they see the most improvement in will of course depend on them and what they specifically want to work on the most. But whether someone is hiring you to help them lose or gain weight, get stronger, improve their confidence, or anything else, you need to have ways of showing your client that they're making progress. If getting stronger is a main focus, have a few exercises in their routine every single week that they care about in particular and record their progress over time. Maybe in the first week of training, your client can bench press 100 pounds and squat 130 pounds, and in the 6th week of training, your client can now bench press 120 and squat 155. These small incremental improvements over time really do matter a lot. Now, if they're hiring you to help them lose weight, you do in fact have to have a very good idea of whether or not they're actually losing weight. This is a hill I will die on. If someone is trying to lose weight, Daily or weekly weigh-ins are super important. Not all of your clients will be okay with weigh-ins, and if they're not, there's not much you can do about that, but make no mistake, those who track their weight daily or weekly will almost always be more successful when it comes to losing weight. So have a decent scale ready to go when training clients, and if they want to lose weight, recommend weekly weigh-ins. Say, people who weigh in on a regular basis are proven to lose weight more consistently. I know losing weight is your main goal. Would you rather weigh yourself here weekly, or do you want to do that at home on your own? Again, some people won't be cool with weighing in any form, but most who want to lose weight will be okay with some version of it, and it does make a massive difference. The same thing would apply to other types of goals as well. If someone wants to improve their flexibility, for example, you should probably have a simple way of showing improvement there over time. You could include some brief assisted stretching at the end of your sessions and keep track of how your client is moving. My next strategy for retaining clients has to do with programming, and when talking about how your sessions are structured, you need to incorporate exercise variety, but not too much. With programming, I feel like it's always best to start off the discussion with this checklist. In any given week, you should try to have your client do at least one horizontal pressing movement, one overhead pressing movement, a horizontal pull like a row, a vertical pull like a pull down, a hip hinge movement like a deadlift, and a knee dominant compound like a squat or a lunge. Again, you want at least one of all of these every week. Only client injury or limitation should prevent you from doing any of these movement patterns. Sometimes to our benefit and other times to our detriment, clients don't see training this way. They almost always see it in very basic terms. Was my workout today hard or easy? Did I enjoy my workouts this week, or did I dislike them? Am I making progress? They're not thinking about whether or not they hit the important movement patterns over the course of the week. They're thinking about this stuff and other even sillier questions that my brain can't even conjure right now. So it's our responsibility to give them this every week, or as close to it as we can get, but we also want to keep things varied just enough to keep them interested. So now we're jumping over to a workout chart to see exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to programming variety, but not too much. I'm not going over programming in great detail today or every aspect of how this workout chart works. These two videos on my channel cover that in depth. That said, this chart is free to download and use in your own business. You can find it on my website, sortahealthytrainered.com. Anyways, variety but not too much. How does that help retention? Well, we're looking at 5 different workouts here all across January. We'll say this client is a fairly fit but inexperienced lifter in her 30s. On our first workout, which is taking place on the 3rd, we're going to go through these 3 different warm-up moves. We have self-myofascial release for the hamstrings, doing some quad walks and some Frankensteins, and then we're moving on to the bigger moves from there. We've got some goblet squats, some split squats where she's holding onto a rack. We have some stability ball hamstring curls. If we scroll down, we see bar push-ups, and the height of the bar here determines how tough these are. The lower the bar, the harder it is. We have some dumbbell overhead press. She's using 2 10-pound dumbbells. She's doing 12 reps for 2 sets, just in case you're curious. If we scroll down further, we can see some dumbbell rows here with a 15-pound dumbbell. We've got reverse flies with a band, pal-off press with a cable machine. She's doing a plank off of her elbows and forearms. She's got 2 sets of bicycle crunches, and she has 2 sets of rope waves. That session took place on the 3rd. Her next one took place on the 5th. And 2 days later, we're focusing on some similar things, but the movement patterns are different enough to keep the client interested. We did Romanian deadlifts with 2 15-pound dumbbells for 15 reps and 2 sets. We did some lateral band walks, and then if we scroll down further, we're going to see a bunch of other movement patterns, TRX, face pulls. We did a whole bunch of other different things, a lot of core on this day. Again, keeping things just varied enough. So like we said before, in any given week, we want to hit these things, and we want to keep things varied enough session to session, week to week, to break up the monotony that can be resistance training. This client is not a hardcore lifter. Very few will be, by the way. Some variety helps to keep these types engaged. If we look at the next session, which does begin a whole new week, we can see barbell squats. In this case, we're just using the barbell, which is 45 pounds, and we're doing that for 12 reps for 3 sets. On this day, we also see a different variation of the leg curl. Instead of the stability ball, this time we're using sliders. These are harder, so we did less reps. Instead of the bar push-ups, this time around we're doing kneeling push-ups. We also have a slightly different variation of the overhead press. This time around we're using the smaller barbell. The smaller barbell just happens to weigh 25 pounds. There's also different variations of rows and other moves in here too. Of course, we are training a lot of the same stuff week to week to make progress because you kind of have to, but we are keeping things varied just enough. You don't want things to be too varied, by the way. If you're doing completely different exercises every time you see your client, well, they're really just not going to make that much progress. Anyway, in the next few workouts, we see cable RDLs. This is a good variation. We see step ups on a 14-inch box. This is a good single leg exercise for this day. In our 5th session here, we actually revisit a lot of the same exercises that we've been doing this entire time, especially in this first workout, but because our client is now stronger, because we've been progressively increasing things over time, these these weights in a lot of cases are a little bit heavier. So instead of doing goblet squats with a 25-pound dumbbell, now we're using a 30-pound dumbbell. Our bar push-ups are a little bit lower, making them tougher. The lat pull-downs have also gotten heavier over time as well. And you would want to keep slowly progressing, changing up some exercise variables, sets, reps, variations, etc. every session, or really every week for as long as you train this client, or really any client. And you probably already know it, but all this is huge when it comes to retaining clients over time. My next strategy is to be enjoyable to be around. The average client who signs up to do personal training will be spending roughly 2 to 3 hours with you almost every single week of the year. Okay, so let's say they're training with you 2.5 hours a week, and they're doing that 49 out of 52 weeks in the year. That's 122.5 hours that the average long-term client is going to be seeing you in a year. Keep in mind, for many clients, the actual number will be higher than this. And let's be honest, that's a of time to spend with anyone. Most of you will be spending more time with your best clients than your closest friends and family members. That's actually pretty crazy when you think about it. When you're spending that much time with someone, there should be no doubt that this will be absolutely essential to your success. So how do you maximize this whole being enjoyable to be around thing then? Well, there's more to it than you'd think. I've got a list of 10 things to focus on. 1. Always be as positive as you can be. I don't care if you're having a bad day, be positive anyways. You're not the one paying for the session. 2. Keep the focus on them, not you. Again, it's their session, not yours. 3. Always greet them when they come in. 4. Ask them their weekly plans. 5. Ask them how their family is doing. 6. Ask them how they're feeling after their last workout. 7. Ask them how their food has been. 8. Ask them if they have any trips coming up. 9. Ask them any halfway decent question. 10. Say goodbye to them after their session is over and make sure they're good for their upcoming session appointments. If we look through these 10 things, we'll notice something. These are rapport building strategies or questions that put the focus on the client. You should care that your client is doing well and is in fact achieving their goals. You should care because it benefits you if they're getting results, as in you'll be more successful if your clients are also successful, but you should also just want them to be successful on a more human level. Genuinely caring how your clients do is super important, and if you don't have that desire to see them succeed, well, you probably won't get too far in this line of work. Many people are good at sniffing out phonies. So in our case, possibly the biggest part of being enjoyable to be around, which has a huge positive effect on retention, is just caring about your clients and wanting what's best for them. Doing these 10 things is how you show that. Again, I know this is a no Jeff sort of a moment, but I think it's helpful to hear someone break this down once in a while. It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day shuffle, get distracted, and lose sight of what really matters, but you can't allow that to happen. It really is all about the client. My last strategy is to be really consistent. If we look back at the previous 4 strategies, none of them alone are too difficult to pull off by themselves. But being consistent with all of these things day in and day out with multiple clients, some of whom are easy to work with and others not so much, well, that consistency can be tough to maintain. However, if you want to be a good, we'll say successful trainer who keeps their clients over a long period of time, being consistent with these strategies is essential. I always tell my clients the thing that matters most when it comes to achieving fitness goals is consistency. Anyone can clean up their diet for a day and do a few workouts over the course of a single week. But can you do that for 6 weeks straight? How about 6 months? That's what it will take to achieve any meaningful fitness goal. As it turns out, it's not so different for you, the trainer. Consistency is what matters. So be as consistent as you can be with these strategies, and remember that you genuinely need to care how your clients are doing. That may be the single most important thing when it comes to keeping clients. Now, let's all of us try to start 2025 off with the right things in mind. Try to make this the year where you really focus on doing everything possible to retain clients, because it truly is essential. It's way easier to keep the clients that you have than to find and sign new ones on. Never forget that. On that note, do you have a client retention strategy that I missed? If so, make sure to leave it down below in the comments. Do you have any questions on getting or keeping clients? If so, leave that down below as well. I want to hear what you guys think. If you haven't done so already, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel on your way out of here, as both of those things really do help to support the channel, and that allows me to make more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sorta healthy.